You ever notice how the men who hurt you always have a reason, right? Always. There's not a single abusive man on this planet who doesn't have a catalog of excuses lined up and ready, like he's auditioning for best actor in the category of "it's not my fault." And women lose years of their lives trying to decode their excuses, looking for meaning that isn't even there. Because here's the truth. His excuses were never meant to be understood. They were just meant to keep you in line or confuse you. And what makes it even more exhausting is how quickly his excuses become accepted as just normal, right? You start tracking his moods, memorizing patterns. You're scanning for signs of when the next excuse is coming. And when he throws you even a crumb of reasoning, you take it like proof that this time, maybe he really means it. Now, I'm Lisa Sonni. I'm a toxic and abusive relationship expert who specializes in abuse recovery and breaking trauma bonds. So if you've spent way too long trying to make sense of some man's excuses, hit subscribe because I make videos that help women see the truth that men don't want us to name out loud. And stay with me until the end because there is one specific excuse that abusive men use that is the most dangerous of them all. It looks emotional, it sounds vulnerable, but it's doing two things at the same time. I'm going to break down the second function later because once you hear it, you will not be able to unsee it. All right, let's start with the first truth that he hopes you never figure out. He's not expressing emotion. He's managing control. Okay, when he gives you an excuse, he isn't being vulnerable. He's not opening up. He's not trying to connect with you, right? He's trying to maintain power. His excuses let him look reasonable, right? But you look hysterical for having needs. He gets to frame the narrative, and he loves that. It works because you've been conditioned to think that any explanation is the beginning of repair, right? But with abusive men, explanations are actually just the beginning of manipulation. He's justifying why he did it. He's not taking accountability. He's not apologizing. Even if he says, "I'm sorry," but he's not apologizing. And the entitlement underneath it is never subtle. He expects forgiveness as just a default, right? He expects you to drop everything, but you're supposed to respond to his emotional cues as if they're these commands. You don't even get to choose. It's just expected. Women are socialized to see male emotion as authoritative, even when the emotion is fake. So the excuse becomes less context and more of an order, right? Forgive me, accept this, move on. Next, the classic line. I love this one. "I didn't mean it." It's the holy grail of abusive excuses. That sentence has kept more women trapped than any love bomb ever could. He's not apologizing, that's clear, right? He's asking you to ignore the impact of his behavior on you and focus on his alleged intentions. And you want to believe him because believing him feels easier than facing the truth. Now that's an IFS, internal family systems moment right here. Let's talk about it. The part of you that still hopes that this can get better, you want to interpret his excuse as a sign of potential, but potential isn't real. Impact, that's real. And the impact is always the same, right? You get smaller, he gets calmer, nothing changes. That's the cycle. That's the point. This is where intent is like this shield that he's holding up, right? I didn't mean it. He wants you to focus on his alleged intent. He wants you to assume, he wants you to give him the benefit of the doubt that his intention wasn't to hurt you. So ignore the fact that it did. Men weaponize "I didn't mean it" like it takes away the harm. It creates ambiguity though, right? Makes you question yourself. You start thinking, if he didn't mean it, maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I should forgive him. Maybe he's trying. Maybe I pushed him. A client that I once worked with told me that he would say he didn't mean it, and then she found herself apologizing. That's what ambiguity does. It literally hijacks your nervous system. Freeze, fawn. You unconsciously cling to this sort of softer, more palatable story because the real one sucks. The real one is so painful, you can't even hold it. Now, the psychology gets even darker, right? Some excuses are really about preserving his image. Abusive men are not confused about what they're doing. We act like they are, they're not. They're not wrestling with guilt. He's not afraid he's the bad guy. He doesn't actually care. He's afraid that you'll stop seeing him as the good guy. There's a difference there. He won't stop being bad, but he does want you to stop seeing him that way. So his excuses are kind of self-soothing, right? They protect his ego. He wants to be like, "I'm not a bad guy. See, she forgave me." He banks on that. It's the same way that they'll do something kind after or buy you flowers or give you metaphorical flowers, whatever your version may be, right? "I'm not a bad guy. See, I'm a good guy. See, He might even say things like, I'm only like this because I'm stressed. I'm only angry because whatever. My childhood was rough. I've just been feeling really insecure lately. These are not windows into this guy's pain, okay? They are just excuses. They are the things that he says to justify what he does because he knows it works. And truth, maybe he had a bad childhood, but maybe he didn't. And either way, bad childhoods don't create abusers. That's garbage. Do you hear me? It does not create abusers. Many people had bad childhoods. Over 60% of people who had childhood trauma don't grow up to be abusive. But listen, if he can convince you that he's struggling, that he's really trying, that he's not abusive, it's just a mistake, it's just trauma, then you're going to stay focused on comforting him instead of leaving him. And women comfort their abusers all the time. You've done it, right? You've held him while he cried after he hurt you. And here's the part that messes with women so damn much. It's not that he believes his excuses, right? He believes his own lies. No, he protects them. He uses them. He leans on them because they work. He sticks to the narrative because it keeps him from ever having to confront what he chooses to do. That is entitlement. We're not calling that confusion. A man who lies knows that he's lying. That's the definition of a lie. A man who defends his excuses feels justified, right? And somehow, why does that make them less dangerous, right? But it actually makes them more dangerous. That's what brings us straight into something that women don't even realize is happening: emotional labor extraction. And it's a hot topic these days, right? You hear it all over social media, emotional labor. And men are like, oh, here we go again. It's worth talking about. Every excuse becomes your job. It's like a chore. He hands you the explanation, and now it's on you to interpret it, soothe it, compensate for it, and prevent it from happening again. He says, I only yelled because you triggered me, right? It's your fault. But now you're tiptoeing around him to avoid his crappy mood. That's the fawn response kicking in. Your brain goes into fixing mode. So you try to anticipate his moods and avoid his stressors. You lower your needs, you raise your tolerance, and meanwhile, you're holding the relationship together. What's he doing? Nothing, right? He's choosing nothing. He's changing nothing. He's outsourcing his accountability to you. And you hear this constantly, right? Women never take accountability. You mean we don't take accountability for what men choose to do? Now, this is where your daily life starts to really shift and you don't even notice it. You start avoiding certain topics. You play these conversations in your head before you even have them. You tell yourself, okay, not today, he's tired, or okay, I'll wait until he's in a better mood, or I don't want to set him off. You think you're managing the relationship, but I'm telling you, girl, you are managing his reactions. You're treating him like a child, which he loves, but also he's the leader. Make that make sense, right? The apology that he never fully gives forces you to fill in the blanks with emotional labor that he benefits from, but you pay for. Now, stay with me because we get to the most covert excuses that he's using, the one that performs two functions. You're going to notice that these excuses feel kind of softer, maybe like a little loving, a little safer. They're not. They're the ones that hook you the longest because they sound like honesty. There's a reason that they work better than the harsh excuses, and I'm going to tell you why in a second. But there's a whole category of excuses that abusive men use that sound emotional, okay? They're accusations. Listen, they're shaped like feelings, but they're blame. I just feel like you don't love me. It seems like you don't even like me. It feels like you don't respect me. You haven't been paying attention to me. These things are manipulative as they activate your empathy. That's the trick. Now you're bending over backwards to prove your love and your loyalty and your patience to your abuser. And when he sits back and watches you work for the standard that he doesn't even meet, it's wild, right? He's not going to fix the relationship. He's trying to keep you busy proving yourself, doubting and defending yourself, busy being the only one doing the labor. But here's what he hopes that you're never going to figure out. And this is why many men can't stand me, and I get emails from pissed off husbands all the time. These excuses also double as a leash. The moment you stop accepting them, he panics because the excuse wasn't an explanation, right? It was a test of whether you still believe in the fantasy version of him, a test of whether you'll keep excusing his abuse. These are all tests, right? Are you still available to be manipulated? Perfect. The second you stop trying to decode his reasoning, you break the cycle. Don't even worry about what's behind it all. Just know this is manipulation, not the trauma bond. Doesn't break the trauma bond. That's a bit harder. I do teach that. But the loop that he's used to keeping you emotionally attached to him is right there. And when he gets away with these excuses, you blame yourself and you stay. Mission accomplished, right? That's exactly his plan. So let's bring this all together. When an abusive man gives you an excuse, stop treating it like it's insight into him. Better, use it as a way to predict his next move, right? If he says, I was tired, well, then the next time he's tired, he's going to do it again. If he says, I was stressed, stress, hello, we're all stressed, dude. It's guaranteed to return. If he says, you made me feel rejected, then he's telling you straight up that any boundary you set will be punished if he feels rejected. If you ignore him, he'll cheat on you, right? I just felt so ignored. Oh, his excuse isn't a moment of honesty. It is a preview of what he's going to keep doing. Don't ever make a man feel rejected, right? Rejected men cheat, and you don't want that because then it'll be your own fault. And he's hoping that you'll focus on the reason instead of reality. The reality is he chose to do this. And listen, as much as men just want so desperately for us to believe that they have no self-control, they can all just be provoked by these crazy women, it's nonsense. Men have self-control. Men are confident and capable and can be emotionally regulated. A man who feels rejected can talk to you. He can even break up with you. But cheat, abuse, harm, that's a choice, not the inevitable response to a man feeling rejected. Patterns predict future harm. Women hope the excuse means change, right? But reality shows that it means cycles. One of my clients once said, once I started treating his excuses as warnings instead of promises, everything clicked. Does this make sense? Stop negotiating with his alleged potential and start paying attention to the evidence. Now, if you want help separating the fantasy from the truth so you can actually break the trauma bond instead of recycling these same excuses in your head, book a private session with me or sign up for my group coaching programs, the Trauma Bond Recovery Program or Rise and Rebuild. And if this hit something in your chest, I'm telling you, it's not a coincidence. This video was probably meant to find you. This is the work that I do every day with women who are just finally done decoding men who were never confused, only manipulative. If you have to decode him, that's a problem. Confusion is a problem. You'll always know where you stand with a good man. Comment your thoughts, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.